Chapter 1: The Lie You Were Told First. Everything you think you know about Lucifer is wrong. Not exaggerated, not simplified, wrong. You were told he was born evil. You were told he was always a monster hiding behind a beautiful face. You were told his fall was sudden, one bad choice, one dramatic moment, one villain born overnight. None of that is true. The real story is slower, stranger, and far more unsettling, because it doesn't describe a monster. It describes the most magnificent being God ever made, and the almost invisible cracks that took him apart from the inside. If that sounds more like a warning about you than a story about him, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll understand why theologians have called this the most misread story in Scripture. Before evil existed, before Earth existed, before humans took a single breath, there was only light, and among all that light, one being outshone every other. His name was Lucifer, and here is myth number 1 you need to unlearn right now. Chapter 2, myth number 1, he was always evil. He wasn't. Scripture doesn't describe Lucifer as a monster in waiting. It describes him as flawless. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty, not almost perfect, not powerful but flawed, perfect. He was the first being God shaped with his own hand, the opening brushstroke of creation itself, crafted before anything else existed. God didn't just make him, God delighted in him. Lucifer carried more intelligence, more radiance, and more raw power than any other angel in existence, second only to the Creator. And it wasn't just his own gifts that made him remarkable. He led. Angels didn't merely respect him, they were drawn to him. His presence pulled attention the way gravity pulls light. When he spoke, seraphim and cherubim leaned in. When he directed the heavenly choirs, his voice moved through creation like fire cutting through darkness. Even Michael, the great warrior archangel, admired him. So hold that image for a second, because it matters. The being who would eventually become the definition of evil started out as the definition of everything good. Which raises the real question this story is actually about, not how did evil begin, but something far more disturbing. How does perfection destroy itself? Chapter 3: The Architecture of Heaven. To understand what Lucifer was, you need to understand where he stood. Heaven in this account isn't a flat, uniform place, it's an ordered structure, almost like a living hierarchy of purpose. At the highest tier are the seraphim, described as living flame, burning endlessly with devotion, singing without pause. Below them, the cherubim, guardians of divine mystery, a shield against anything impure. Closer to creation stand the archangels, messengers like Michael and Gabriel, warriors who carry divine decisions into action. And closest to humanity are the angels who walk beside us, guarding souls on their journey. Within, or perhaps above, this entire structure stood Lucifer, anointed, positioned on the holy mountain of God, walking among what Scripture calls the fiery stones. Not just an angel among angels, the morning star, the light bringer, the one whose brilliance introduced the dawn. He wasn't just beautiful, he was the standard everyone else was measured against. And that's exactly where the danger began, not in his flaws but in his gifts. Chapter 4, myth number 2, he fell in a single moment. Here's the second thing you've been told that isn't true. That Lucifer's fall happened in one dramatic instant, one act of rebellion, one lightning bolt decision. It didn't. It started as something almost too small to notice. A single, quiet thought. What if my light could shine brighter on its own? What if my glory didn't always have to point back to someone else? That's it, that's where it began. Not with hatred, not with a declaration of war, with a whisper so faint even Lucifer barely recognized it as dangerous. But thoughts like that don't stay small. They root. They grow in silence, out of view, in the one place even heaven couldn't fully see, the private corridors of a mind. Lucifer began imagining himself elevated, praised on his own merit, not as a reflection of God's glory, but as a source of glory in his own right. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, he began to change. The other angels noticed before he ever admitted anything. Gabriel approached him directly. "Brother, what weighs on you? Your light feels restless." Lucifer's answer was evasive, vague, distant, guarded. "There are things even we cannot fully understand." That's not the language of a villain announcing his plan. That's the language of someone hiding something even from himself. His attendance at the praise gatherings, where he once led, became half-hearted. His voice, once the center of heaven's worship, went quiet. One of the cherubim noticed and asked him plainly, "Do you no longer find joy in singing?" His reply should chill you, because it's so human. "I've found other pursuits. Perhaps there's something beyond what we've always known." This is the part almost nobody talks about. Pride didn't arrive in Lucifer like an invasion. It arrived like curiosity, like ambition, like a reasonable question that quietly stopped pointing toward God and started pointing toward himself. Chapter 5, the warning no one talks about. Here's something the popular version of this story leaves out almost entirely. God saw this coming and tried, more than once, to stop it before it became irreversible. God called Lucifer directly, not in judgment, in concern. "Lucifer, my son, the seal of perfection, I sense your thoughts drifting from me." And Lucifer's response is the most quietly devastating line in the entire account. "Didn't you create me to understand and explore? Do you think that's wrong?" It wasn't a lie. Lucifer genuinely believed his curiosity was innocent. That's what makes this so much more unsettling than a simple villain origin story. Lucifer didn't set out to destroy anything. He talked himself into believing his ambition was virtue. God's answer cuts straight to the actual problem. Your desire to understand is noble, but your thoughts are becoming self-centered. You've been seduced by the light I placed within you, and you've forgotten it was never your own. This is the entire tragedy in one sentence. Lucifer's gift wasn't the danger. Forgetting where the gift came from, that was the danger. And God didn't punish him for this. God warned him again and again. Scripture frames this not as a single ultimatum, but as repeated, patient appeals, each one met with a little more distance, a little more quiet resentment, a little more hardened pride. Which brings us to myth number 3, and this is the one that will actually reframe the entire story for you.